Okay, yeah, I had to split video 22. I went over 15 minutes. I was very enthusiastic about what I was talking about. So, yeah, didn't keep an eye on time. Maybe I need to get a little sort of stopwatch or something. I managed to find some free software to split the video because I do want my videos to be under 15 minutes. I use Open Broadcaster software, OBS, to do these screen recordings. I also now use this software called Shotcut, where you can get a video, you can cut it in two and then export it. And the good thing about Shotcut, unlike there's a Microsoft one that I tried, but it produced stupidly big files. Shotcut will use the same bit rate, so I like Shotcut. It's good and it's free. Good and free. But anyway, let's get back to the topic in hand. Religious cults. Now it's obvious when you know this. It's really not obvious when you don't. The rich leaders are getting richer and the poor workers are getting poorer. And I've put here, don't believe the hype. I was listening for a few minutes today to the cult that I was part of between 2011 and 2013, London International Christian Church. I mean, I got recruited to the ICOC in 95 and literally stopped going in 2015. I was at the ICOC for a couple of years after ICC because I thought, oh well, they're doing it wrong, let's go back to what I know, and then realising what I know was wrong as well, and then trying to help people out of cults. I was conned. And the thing about today's sermon, it was the preacher's son, Michael Williamson Jr., I believe. Talk about ego. I remember there was another leader in London, Tim Kernan, and his son, Tim Kernan Jr. It's like, talk about narcissism, eh? But yeah, I mean, a lot of these cult leaders, they want their kids to get into the same con, and it is a con, because they make tons of money. And this is what I want to talk about in this video, right? A lot of ex-members, it's almost like they feel they've been left for dead. Not only have they been conned, not only have they given years or loads of money or all they could, supposedly to God, they get all hyped up about saving the world and turning people's lives around and, oh, I used to be a drunk or a drug addict. Now Jesus has saved my soul. Nothing wrong with that if you want to do normal Christianity, but cults are not normal Christianity. They will literally squeeze every last penny out of people every minute of their free time to supposedly save the world, which is the most important thing. It's more important than getting married. It's more important than getting a job. You have to save souls. And people are literally squeezed by the hype of these preachers, yeah? And you might think, okay, I can understand it from the victim's point of view, but what about from the leader's point of view? These preachers, they squeeze tithes out of people. They threaten people with hell. I mean, in today's sermon, the preacher's son was having a go at people in the audience for not being fired up enough. The leaders are into the mission. The Bible talk leaders are into the mission, but I'm worried that you aren't into the mission. So it's all hype. It's all, the only thing that matters in your life is to recruit other people and give as much money as you can to God's kingdom. Yeah? They don't care if you go broke in giving them money. So from the leader's point of view, the louder they shout and the more full of hype, and it's all about God and it's all about saving the world, the harder they push it, like a salesman, it can be overwhelming for vulnerable people. And I was one of those vulnerable people. I fell for the hype. I mean, I had a job, I got a degree, I had a job, life was all right, but then the full on hype of the cult, my job didn't matter. A leader could have said, well, I think you're working too hard, you need a different job. So one of the girls that she's a mum with 2 kids now, girls, you know, she gave up her doctorate so she could work harder for the cult, right? So her career got ruined by the cult. I think she got her bachelor's degree. She was working on her PhD to become a doctor, and she gave it up on the say-so of a hyped-up religious salesman because maybe she was good at recruiting people. Now it's 6 minutes. I'm paying attention to the time. So they hype up people. They flatter people. They'll say, oh, you're doing amazing things for God. You're really good at saving souls and bringing people into God's kingdom. It's never about them. They'll say, oh, God is using you. Yeah? So, you're being used by God, right? And used by them. But rather than actually about saving souls, it's about the leaders shouting as loudly as possible, making as much money as possible, and being hypocrites, complete hypocrites. The leaders don't evangelise, but they threaten other people with hell if they don't bring people into the group. You're letting people go to hell. You don't love God. You're going to go to hell. I know it's probably not as accurate, they're very good at coming up with these phrases. And what I found funny or sad about today's sermon from London ICC, the cult leader's kid, he uses these same old phrases, same old stories. Today he was talking about, well, McDonald's has evangelised the world. Michael Jackson has evangelised. These sinners have evangelised the world. We need to evangelise the world. All the hype. And it's the same old phrases, the same old stories, and all they have to do is be very charismatic, which basically means putting on a suit and shouting at people as if he's a drill instructor. I'm sure if he wasn't a preacher, he could be like, I forget the name of the movie, there was that drill instructor, wasn't it? Very famous, shouting at people. But, it's like they're getting paid to shout at the audience. If you go to a normal church, like I was raised in the Catholic Church, I can imagine any of these like mild-mannered priests at the Catholic Church screaming and shouting and waving their hands in the air and telling the congregation, you're letting people go to hell, and all the sort of hyped up manic, and it is manic, sort of twisted version of Christianity. So yeah, I mean, it don't believe the hype. But the tragic thing is, because they're so good at conning people and using people and manipulating people to hype other people into the cult, oh, this is the best thing ever, this is from God, we love one another, no other church loves each other, we're where it's at. All the hype. Not only is it mentally exhausting, I remember I actually looked forward to going to work because it was more relaxing than, going to these leaders' meetings. And even though you're not a leader, you're expected to go to a leaders' meeting kind of thing. But, what an ex-member is up against, right? Many ex-members have given all they can to a group that then, out of the blue, kicks them out, shuns them, lies about them from behind the pulpit, because maybe they're asking the wrong questions. And then that person is completely traumatised and broke and confused and they don't know what's happened to them. They might believe they're going to hell, and sadly some of them, a small percentage of people who are left behind by cults, do decide to end it all. They're just so traumatized, shell shocked kind of thing, PTSD, call it what you like. But, so the victims are broke, and then they're up at, it's them, they often feel on their own, or with a small other group of ex-members, up against this ever bigger, badder beast of a cult that has taken their money, taken other people's money, used them almost like slaves, and you're up against these multi-million or multi-billion dollar organisations that are cults. The Mormon cult's worth about 200 billion. How's somebody who's going to be broken and damaged by a cult, maybe had a mental breakdown, maybe unemployed, maybe lost their wife or kids or whatever, how's that victim going to go up against a multi-billion dollar corporate cult? I mean, even if the cult isn't that big, even if it's 100 people or 1,000 people, it's one person that feels they're up against 100 people, and most people, they break down. Right, 11 minutes. So, cults have a really high turnover rate. I mean, with ICOC, they grew to about 135,000, but they've got 500,000 ex-members, broken people, right? Now, some of them have moved on and done well in life, just gone to another church, but a lot of people are left for dead. They're not getting mental health care. They're not getting any access to a psychiatrist or psychologist. And if they're in a third world country, the cult could shoot them, as a dangerous ex-member, and it is overwhelming. It is overwhelming. But even in let's call it the first world, maybe America, maybe the UK, maybe Europe, Japan, whatever, South Korea, got a lot of cults. Even when you have a country that is doing well, for the most part, a lot of people fall through the gaps. Because if you're not useful for the nation, you can be left for dead. It's even worse in China. So when somebody leaves a cult, I remember when I left the cult, I thought, right, well, I'm going to talk to the government about this group and I'm going to get them shut down. Well, I was very angry, and the government, for the most part, don't give a damn. There's a handful of exit counsellors out there in the UK, maybe 100, something like that. But you've got millions of, I'd say well over 1 million people in cults. Add up the Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses. It can be quite a large chunk, but it's a few people going up against a lot of people in the cult, and it's the leaders you're going up against. But the members keep giving them money, keep being brainwashed. So it really is sort of David versus Goliath. Now, David won, but the Goliath of the cults, they got money for lawyers, private eyes, all of that kind of stuff to intimidate ex-members who speak up. If you're an ex-member and you say nothing, that's perfect for them. You never existed. You gave them some money and then they kicked you out and you haven't said anything. That's what they want. They don't want ex-members that speak up. I mean, I had a YouTube channel that got deleted by London ICC. I got my email hacked as well. They got the money to do that, and that's what you're up against. And I'm unemployed. I don't have a job, don't have a wife, don't have kids, don't have income. I'm a very small person, But I keep on saying what I say because I believe it might help somebody. It might help somebody out of the cult, and then they might not waste 20 years of their life. They might only waste a month or two.